at the Speed Project. James, how you going? How you feeling, mate?
Hi, Aaron. Yeah, good. On the Yermo Road, which is this like super long straight road. It was the old road from LA to Vegas. You can see it just goes on like that forever. So yeah, good. But it's hot today. Super hot. My hair is like flying away, and yeah, not much wind. So we've got a hard day ahead.
So you're out of the cold wind that you were experiencing yesterday and
Yeah.
the other night?
Yeah, well, they came off the mountains to my right, to your left, and that we've lost those now. So I think we're going to be in for warmer temperatures. It's about yeah, it's probably in its mid 80s right now, so it's not too bad. But there's no shade. So I have this. I know you love to talk about kit. This is the lowest tech kit you've ever seen. It's a solar umbrella. It's shiny on the outside, and you can just gives you a bit of a respite from the sun.
Oh,
So
cool.
yeah, £15 from Amazon. Probably not useful in any other ultra race apart from this one, but yeah, it works.
Awesome. So last night you got a few hours in a hotel. Is that right? Tell us about that.
Yeah. So I won't lie. Yesterday was pretty hard. After I spoke to you, I still had quite a long way to get to Barstow, and it was rolling and pretty. And I was a bit low on calories. There wasn't much way places to get things, so eventually decided. And Barstow is like it's on Route 66, but it's kind of trucking town. So it's basically crackheads and meth heads and trucks. And so it's not really the safest place to be sleeping out. And there's plenty of cheap motels. So hopped in a cheap motel about 12:15 after midnight, and then left this morning around about 5:30. So I had a little bit of admin to do with charging of phones and watches and shit. So kind of worked well to get a night's sleep in. Although getting up and leaving this morning was quite hard, as you can imagine.
Yeah, totally. So that reminds me. I wanted to ask you about tracking it. Are you recording this stuff on your Apple Watch? Are you uploading
Yeah,
to Strava? What
I
are you doing with that?
yeah. So I probably will when I stop later. Is upload everything onto Strava. I'm using two Apple Watch Ultra. Um, the Apple Watch is super. The Apple Watch Ultra is amazing for 360 days of the year when I'm not running, across the state. And so I do think it's basically like having an Apple phone on your wrist, but the battery life on the low battery mode is about 13 hours, which is not terrible. And for most people, not doing really long runs, it's plenty long enough. But I fortunately have two, so I just switch from one to the other. But I have been having some trouble. Those particularly big files on Strava do seem to have a bit of an issue with uploads. And if you get something that's 120 kilometers or so, they've just been failing so far. So I need to stop, find some Wi-Fi probably, and so it'll all be on there. But yeah, it's all tracked. The intention obviously is to submit for the self-supported FKT. I'm just walking in the road, so I need to walk out. Car comes past. So that's the intention, is to submit for self-supported FKT, but managing your own GPX admin is is another thing to add to the list of things to do. So yeah, I'm a bit behind the curve, but it's all in there.
Yeah, leave that for a few days from now. And you're sitting lying in bed with the feet up.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know if I got time. You have a lot of time out here to do things. It's just a case of when I tried to do it before, it was just not working for some reason.
Okay. So in terms of like your moving pace and walk, run, what's the strategy? Like what have you gone into this thinking about and how's it executing?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and I think you can do it. You can cut a cake a million ways. My approach is obviously I've got no cruise, so there's not really a reason to stop so much. And in this temperature, if you run, you toast. Not only do you, and at this distance, if you push hard, you overheat. You need more. For me as well, I have to manage my water and my food intake. So I tend to run the downhills and then I hike. And my hiking pace is around I'm getting about 7 kilometers an hour, which is by no means fast. But if you do 7 kilometers an hour consistently, and I don't stop much, you can end up, you do 70 kilometers in 10 hours, you do 140 kilometers in 20. It's actually decent. And what I'm seeing already from a few people out here who I've been running with, is some pretty nasty looking lower leg problems. Tendonitis is the main one. If you pound your legs for 20 hours a day running, it's gonna hurt you. And there's no two ways about it, unless you're super well prepared. I'm just trying to make sure the sun is in the. It's really, and that is the problem. So for me, a regular, consistent pace without too much stopping, but a bit slower, works. And also, if I work less hard, I need to sleep less and I need to take less water and less calories. So it's a bit of a strategy that I've kind of worked on over the last couple of years doing these things.
Cool.
It's not for everyone, and I think it's probably not the quickest way to get there, but if you're self-supported, you have to manage that extra that thing as well.
Well, if you look at your positioning through the field, on day one at the start, 300 odd miles to go, you were maybe 18 out of
Yeah, the
23,
back end.
and you've just constantly moved up. And the last check, about 3 or 4 hours ago, you were in ninth, which was a place up from yesterday in 10th. So the people who
Yeah,
have gone off maybe running less experienced are just slowing to the point that they're taking more breaks now, and you're
I think
um,
there's definitely an
beating
element of
them
that,
up.
but also you have to remember, because we don't have any tracking as such, they're using it as a crow flies. So if your route went out on Monday, out east through LA, you were on top of the leaderboard because you were going in the right direction for LA. What we did is go north before we went east, because you have to go north at some point. But the two sort of genuine ways of doing it is to go out east through downtown, or go north up through the whole sort of the hills, and then east through Palmdale. So it's a bit you take it with a pinch of salt. But you're right. There's an element of, if you can be slow and steady, it's tortoise and hare. If you run super fast, if you run 16, 17, 18 hours for those first 100 miles, you ain't hanging on for 200 miles. It's not like, if you're toast by the end of day one, day two, you've got a lot of days of pain and suffering ahead of you. And so I think that approach. But having said that, your namesake Aaron, who I was speaking to before this event, looks like he's pretty much smashing his way to Las Vegas as I speak. So I'm not saying it can't be done. I just think unless you're super strong and super experienced, a more conservative approach early probably pays dividends.
Yeah, well, Aaron was third at the Moab 240 just 6 months or so ago, so he has the ability for sure to run it. He also has the
He's
luxury
got
of,
some
the RV and some
paces, I
preventative
think, as
maintenance
well.
and
It's nice.
things.
Yeah, and he's got career. Having someone to run with you and motivate you and chat and things is definitely a positive. So yeah, but I think he's obviously got some pedigree. It's great to see someone out there putting it down, but it obviously can still go wrong with 100+ miles to go. People do 100 miles in itself is a big race. So this is a race where you still have 100 miles to go after 2 or 3 days.
Yeah. So roughly what mile are you at, or where are you?
I honestly don't know. I want to say about halfway. 150, 160. I'm about 240. 250 kilometers or something, I think. So about halfway. My route is a bit under 500, but I'm hard to know. That's the problem with having multiple watches and things, is I don't have one consistent record route, so I have to kind of add them up. But I know where I am. I mean, I'm on the way to Baker. That's my intended stop today. I'll probably get there about midnight. It's a trucking stop. It's pretty desolate, to be honest, but it's a sign of life. After that, there's a small section of back on the road and back on Yermo Road, and then to power lines, and then to Prim. So probably looking right now at sort of a midday Friday finish, I think. But it can all go wrong from here. There's plenty of things to throw spanner in the works.
A long way to go. So
Yeah.
just touching on your pack and thinking about the
Yeah,
kind of the run walk strategy and stuff like that, what weight is on your back?
it's about 8.5 kilos.
Oh, really?
Depends, of course. Yeah. So it depends, of course, whether I've got water in it, and so it's just, obviously at some points I've got more water than others, and water is 1 litre of water is 1 kilo, so it can be upwards of 10 or 11 kilos. It's not light, but it's got all my sleeping kit in it, and then a load of battery packs and life admin shit in there. So yeah, it's actually working really well, because I used a climbing pack last year, North Face Verto 27, which I use a lot and I love it, but it's got no waist belt. Well, it has, but it's just a strap that stops it twisting around. So this one's actually got a hip belt that allows me to take some of the weight off my shoulders. So when I'm not running, I can just slacken off the shoulder straps and have the weight around the waist. And then when I'm running a bit more, I just ratchet it up and put the weight on the shoulders. So it's working really well. It's brand new. They just come out. They launched a couple of weeks ago, 24 litres. So I've got less volume, but it's got a lot more pockets.
Yeah, I noticed the waist pockets in a picture a couple of days ago.
Yeah. So it's got
Last,
like little hip pockets. It'll take a flask up front. So you'll take a 500ml soft flask, which again, the pack I had before was a climbing pack, so very specifically designed for climbing, very minimalist, very light. But yeah, every time you want to drink, you take stop and either carry it in your hand, which is fine with a handheld, but or take your bag off.
yeah. Last question. Just always want to check in on nutrition. So you've been on the move today from about 5:30, and what time is it
Yeah.
now? And what have you eaten today?
It's 1:45 now here. So I've had a fairly disgusting selection of food. I had a McMuffin, a bacon McMuffin, and this is vile, a sausage burrito from McDonald's, and a large Coke, which is obviously very healthy for breakfast. And then I haven't had much else, to be honest. I've been drinking some Gatorades, and I have a couple of random pastries in my bag. They have this cheese and cherry pastry. I don't know if I mentioned it yesterday.
You did,
Pretty
yeah.
good, actually. Sounds just full of calories, pretty disgusting. I think they've got a shelf life of about 2 million years. And that and some, I've got some like Haribo and some other shit in my bag. So nothing very good, but I think I'm coming up against a gas station fairly soon, and I'll probably try and see what they have in there. But yeah, I'm thousands of calories under consuming. But again, to my point earlier, if you're walking, even if you're walking 7 kilometers an hour, you can burn a lot of fat, and I'm well fat adjusted, so adapted for burning that. So there's an element of, you have to sort of just stave off the hunger pangs as much as, and you can get. Yesterday I was in pretty. After I spoke to you, I used my stove and cooked up a chili because I was feeling pretty rubbish, and that had made a big difference. So yeah, I mean, it's just a case of staving off the bonk and stopping the hunger pangs, and then just burning fat like it's going out of fashion.
The cheese and cherry pastry sounds like a regional delicacy. I'd love to see a picture of that and make its way onto Instagram so we
Yeah,
see
I'll
what
take
this.
a photo of it. It's a delight to be seen.
Okay, mate. Well, we'll let you get on with it, and we'll check
Thank
in
you.
again with you tomorrow.
Yeah, man, no worries. Thanks.
Take
Good
take
speaking.
care. Bye.
Dude, bye.